Since 1998, Exxon Mobil has spent more than $15 million bankrolling about 5 or 6 skeptics in their institutions to keep up this beat about climate change being an issue of debate and climate change being negligible and climate change being a non-event. And in fact, when you talk to scientists, there is no debate about climate change.
Every scientific study that's taken place recently is clearly in support of the fact that climate change has been induced by human actions.
Temperature and carbon dioxide, and in fact methane as well, which is also an important greenhouse gas, just very in sync with each other.
Is what stimulates the policy process. And Exxon knows that the science drives the policy.
If you were casting the role of old school, swaggering, fat cat capitalist company, it would be Exxon.
I did title a chapter in my book, Criminals Against Humanity, and I believe that very strongly when you look at really what the magnitude of the impacts are turning out to be. We are putting at risk, if not ourselves, certainly our children, and for sure our grandchildren, and I can't think of a more selfish thing to do than that.
What Exxon Mobil has been instrumental in doing is funding what we call junk science to create the illusion that there is some sort of debate amongst the scientific community.
Exxon's been busy from the very beginning of the Convention on Climate Change, the Climate Change Treaty, to at the meetings, interjecting, participating in the science panels, and a really active, aggressive opponent of progress in that arena.
The press is basically the medium by which the public will learn the news, and that news has been really stifled.
Pat Michaels is with the Cato Institute and the University of Virginia, and Phil Clapp is with the National Environmental Trust.
This is a projection that over the next 30 to 50 years, what we are going to see is a major and serious change in the climate all over the world, which causes very serious damage.
Do you believe that, Pat?
You've been living with it for about 100 years. Lifespan's doubled in the industrialized world. Crop yields have quintupled. Well, you know what? Get over it.
If it's a question of opinion, a journalist is ethically obligated to give competing opinions, you know, their most articulate presentation and relatively equal space and so forth. But when it's a question of fact, that doesn't apply. And what we know about the climate comes from more than 2,000 scientists from 100 countries reporting to the UN in what is the largest and most rigorously peer-reviewed scientific collaboration in history.
As scientists, we're trained to be skeptics. And all scientists should be skeptics. It's part of you know, not believing in something until we actually see the data. One of the things that is actually amazing about the climate change issue is that so many scientists actually agree this consensus viewpoint of humans have and are having an effect on our climate system.
The urgency of the science is what stimulates the policy process. And every 5 years, the scientists of the world get together and put a giant report together about 3 phone books thick and tell us what is going on, what we know about climate change. And that report triggers the next round of negotiations and the next round of pollution cuts, hopefully. So Exxon, knowing this, tried in 1998 to get in this strategy plan, the PR plan, to undermine the science in the public eye, to inject uncertainty, and it's very deliberate, spelled out in their words, a very insidious plan.
NRDC received a copy of a memo that was faxed to the White House from Exxon Mobil, had an Exxon Mobil cover sheet on it from a gentleman by the name of Randy Randall, who is a lobbyist for Exxon Mobil. The memo outlined what Exxon saw as what they thought the policy layout for global climate change policy should be for the Bush administration.
It's a pretty detailed and well-articulated hit list of who should be gotten rid of from the Clinton administration. Randall names Bob Watson, the head of the IPCC.
Shortly thereafter, the Bush administration threw their support behind another candidate.
It's basically, here's how you need to flush the toilet and get rid of these dangerous operatives who are pushing for good things on climate.
My name was in the memo, but I was really a stand-in for the entire national assessment activity. So in my last day, I ended up mailing a letter, not just to Randy Randall. I mean, I mailed it to the board of directors of Exxon, sending them a copy of the national assessment and of the IPCC synthesis report, which is a report that's been accepted. In fact, that one, I mean, is approved on a word-by-word basis by 150 nations of the world. So unanimously, the nations of the world are saying this. You might want to pay attention to this report. But yeah, later, a public affairs official from Exxon basically sent a letter saying, how dare you write to my board of directors or something? Why don't you send it, whatever it is, to me or something? Well, I guess my view is I think the management, the leadership of ExxonMobil needed to at least see what the documents were, understand what they're talking about, because I don't think they had a clue about what was happening.
ExxonMobil is not going away. This company needs to be part of the solution. We are not necessarily trying to cripple this company economically. At the end of the day, ExxonMobil either needs to move or be moved, because the public is so much a part of this solution.
We know how to build wind turbines and provide wind energy at the same price per kilowatt.
I do think that we have retained enough, we have just enough time in order to keep things from getting any worse than they have to get. But that's going to take all human ingenuity, not only technologically, not even primarily technologically. It's going to take the human genius at community, at coordination, at self-restraint, at all those other things that we need very much to bring to the fore very quickly.
Stacey Vanek-Smith for Marketplace.
So what's the best job in America? Well, besides hosting Marketplace, of course, I'd say former chairman of Exxon Mobil is a pretty good gig. We just found out that he got a $400 million retirement package last year. Plus, he can still use the corporate jet anytime he wants.
Caused an enormous amount of this problem and not done anything to help. They have also spearheaded the effort to confuse people around this country and around the world about the facts about climate change. They are ground zero for climate devastation on planet Earth. You know, I wrote in 1989 what was then the first book for a general audience about global warming, a book called The End of Nature. And at the time, global warming was a hypothesis.
Normally sunlight will come through our atmosphere, hit the Earth's surface, and reflect back out to space. Now we have these heat-trapping gases trapping in more heat.
The molecular structure of carbon dioxide is such that it traps heat near the planet that would otherwise radiate back out to space. So a gallon of gas weighs about 8 pounds. When you burn it, you release about 5.5 pounds of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide.
Pumping this fossil carbon, turning it into carbon dioxide, adding it to our atmosphere.
You get a blanket of this CO2 in the atmosphere, more of the sun's energy is trapped here on the planet, raising the temperature of things. We are heating up the planet, and it's going to be a serious problem.
How low are you willing to go before you reach all your selfish goals? Punchline after punchline, leaving us all, leaving us all. Absorbed in your hustling, feeding our monster, just feeding our monster. Invasion after invasion, this means war, this means war.
Oh my God! Look at that horse meat.
but to